This is Evan Funk Davies here, and in the studio with me now are three of the Dictators. We have Top 10 and Ross the Boss and, of course, Handsome Dick Manitoba. And they're here mostly to publicize their upcoming dates in the area, starting, I guess, with the one this weekend. Is that not correct?
That's
right.
correct.
And that's
bring your friends, bring your money.
That's in Westchester. Why is it that you're playing the first reunion show, as it were, in Westchester as opposed to New York?
Well, it's sort of like Ross's wife works at the club, and it was conveniently, it's run by Ralph M. Newman, a great rock and roll historian and a great guy, and it just seemed like a good place.
So there you are.
They put up the money and they said, let's do it, so we did.
The way I feel about it, it's like, usually when your band hasn't played in 2 years, you have to play a smaller market before you hit a bigger market. It's just strategy, brother.
We'll do a few shows before we play the city. Right, Richard?
Yep. Boys are right for change here.
Why did you decide to get back together after this 2-year hiatus, as they say?
That's a college word there.
It's a college station. We're out for kicks.
Money, kicks.
Well, everyone's around. Everyone's around for the first time in a long time, and we just felt like doing it. Hopefully make some money and just have some fun.
Was it any one
That's
person's
all.
idea in particular, or did you just all kind of...
Richard begged us. He pleaded, he offered all kinds of services and gifts, but...
Is there any truth to the rumor, Richard, that you were driving a bus for Steve Forbert at one point?
Oh yeah, it wasn't a bus, it was a truck.
A truck?
I was a trucker, trucking on down the road. Yeah, I was working for a little Stevie Orbit. And it was fun, it was good. I got to go on the road, go to California, Florida, Wyoming. Wyoming was great. It was about 3
America's
degrees.
heartland.
Norman, Oklahoma.
We got stuck in Wyoming, and they closed Route 80 going both directions. It was wonderful.
They closed Wyoming.
It was wonderful being stuck in Wyoming.
Heck of a spot.
What are the rest of you two, Scott and Ross? What have you been up to?
What have we been up to, Scott and Ross? Ross, why don't you speak?
Well, I joined about 1.5 years ago a band called Shakin' Street.
The Salvation Army.
And Shakin' Street is a French band from Paris. And
Ooh la la.
with a girl singer named Fabienne.
That they all bang.
Yeah.
It was banging her left and right.
Hold on here.
Is that a good word? Banging the drum
This is
slowly.
a family afternoon show here.
Movie. with
Yeah,
that
I
word?
was in Gay Paris for about 9 months. When you jerks were sweating it out here.
And it was hot this summer, you all recall. Hey, where were you in the summer? You were somewhere
No,
great.
the summer I was Shakin' Street opened the bill for Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult all the summer.
And the famous Black and Blue tour.
Black and Blue tour. And let me tell you, it was
Good concert for a picnic.
yeah.
Why didn't they call it the Shaken Black and Blue tour?
Oh, I don't know.
The Roster Boys shaking.
Yeah. It was two
The Sandy
monoliths,
Perlman extravaganza.
two monoliths of heavy metal and a French band with a girl singer.
The French entry.
The French.
Scott, you were in Helen Wheel's band for a
Yeah,
while, weren't
I
you?
helped Helen Helen's an old friend, and I helped to put together a band. And when they couldn't find an extra guitar player, I volunteered on a temporary basis. So I played with them for a while. We wrote some songs together. And then I was rehearsing a band for about 1 year. And due to a lot of circumstances, I was in the hospital. I had my knee operated on, and I got involved with Andy Andy wrote music for a play, an off-Broadway play. And the band broke up, so now I'm looking to make a single. I'm looking for a manager, all you guys with money out there. And I'm looking for musicians. So, not too busy, in other words.
Is this
Not a heck of a
Biding
lot.
my time.
Does this reunion look to be kind of a permanent thing at all, or is this just something to do in the meantime while your solo careers are at the point they are?
It's called paying the rent gig.
Dictators Rent Party Tour.
Dictators have to eat.
I don't know. It's hard to say. It depends on what. I don't know. Everybody. No one seems. Ross is sort of putting together a project that probably be long term. But Andy, for instance, isn't really looking to commit himself to any one thing. So the Dictators could be like a traveling thing. I mean, once Dictators forever Dictators. 5 years from now, we'll all still be Dictators in our hearts, right?
Heavy.
Every could be
I
an
get that
annual
meaning.
thing. It could be a
It's
knows?
good. We get great
I don't know.
crowds.
The annual Dictators Thanksgiving party. What kind of reaction have you gotten to this first type of reunion?
Well, my
here?
mother's very pleased.
We got a couple of mentions and a couple of these rags over here.
Melody Maker.
This Melody Maker newspaper here.
All right, everybody look real close at the
Page
radio
6.
here.
Page 6,
Dictators to reform. Marley dead, shocked
questions
denied.
2 through 5 for tomorrow
Why don't you
morning.
read the whole page?
No, it's-
Okay, we're going to take a little break now, hear a song from the Manifest Destiny album. This is Young, Fast, and Scientific from the Dictators. The Dictators, and that's from the Manifest Destiny album once again. Young, Fast, and Scientific. In fact, the name of a fanzine in Boston, I think they took their name from that song.
I think they did too. Todd Abramson. He's a great rock and roller, Todd Abramson. I don't know if he's listening. I'm sure he's not.
I can imagine you guys have some new songs ready to unveil this Saturday night.
We have a few
Yeah,
that were written after the album,
Uh-huh.
but not really. We only rehearsed a couple times. We're gonna see. You know, right now we're only doing the one show. That's definitely 100% booked.
Uh-huh.
In fact, it's 3 days
Do
away.
you have any other ones that are maybe 50% booked at this point?
Well, we had a few that were booked for December, but Richie Teeter had some other commitments that he had to take care of, and so everything's postponed till January, so no definite dates to say.
Uh-huh. Is he still with the VHF, Richie?
Yes, Richie's still with VHS.
Uh-huh. And what's Andy been up to?
Andy's producing a couple of singles for a band called The Graphics and a band called The Cyclones. And he's been, let's see, Andy wrote music for a play that was at the West Beth Theater over
Said
here.
that before.
Did I? Waiting for the
Not
dough.
specifically.
You're repeating yourself.
And he's been helping me. Andy's going to produce a single. I'm doing a single also that Andy's going to produce.
Uh-huh.
And that's what he's been doing.
Do you have any plans at this point to record anything as a group again?
Well, we got wind. We saw a
Double live
bootleg.
Madison Square Garden.
dollar a seat.
No, there's no real. Nah, I don't think so.
Not at the moment.
No.
Not at the moment.
You never know what may happen.
You never know.
You can't tell these
Uh-huh.
days.
Philosopher.
As if someone's just to offer
Richard,
a
you're
lot
so
of
quiet.
money.
Everyone wants to hear you. You're the star, and you're not saying nothing.
I think everybody really wants to know what it's like being the handsomest man in rock and roll.
It's
Okay,
a very
tell 'em,
unique
tell 'em.
question.
Tell us,
How many
Richard.
times have been asked that question?
How many?
A lot.
How many times in the last 2 years?
How many?
Well, I've been working in the hospital lately. I've been telling everybody I'm the handsomest man in the hospital now. They don't really appreciate my sense of humor there in the old emergency room. You get to see a lot of gory stuff though. in
I
there.
imagine.
Yeah, and a 14-year-old girl with her head blown off.
So good inspiration for a song there, perhaps. Who's been writing the new song? Have you all been working on it together, or is
Andy's a songwriter for this band.
he only writes it?
Yeah, I co-wrote a couple, wrote a couple. Russ co-wrote a couple. Richard hasn't. We're waiting, Richard.
I have a couple of songs in the bag.
Are you gonna do anything with them, or are you just gonna keep them in the bag for now?
No one ever took them serious.
Bruce Springsteen wrote a song for Richard.
Which one was that?
I don't know. We haven't been able to find out. We haven't gotten in touch with him, but yeah, it's true. No,
Well, Bruce, if you're listening, call in and just let us know which song it was that you
He
wrote.
told me personally
You talked
at
to
the
him?
Sunset Marquee in Los Angeles that he has a song for Richard Manitoba.
Well,
Hey man, he never calls me, man.
It's hard to get in touch with the man. He's a busy man.
so are you
What's he
working in
doing these
hospitals
days?
and
Still
driving
a
trucks?
That's
Bruce, he was driving a cab in between
I
albums.
saw him. He was working at Golden Pizza over there. Stuffing sausage.
Do you have any
He had this band, The Sideline. I remember he was working on.
do you have any covers planned? Or you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
gonna,
Yeah, you bet.
are you,
Richard Dellum.
What do you want?
I know.
We want to know.
We're doing Mott the Hoople song. We were doing.
We're not doing we didn't write any brand new songs for this gig.
Uh-huh.
We have some songs which weren't recorded on the 3 albums, which we were doing 2 years ago, which we'll do again. But we didn't write any new songs. Andy didn't write any new songs.
A lot of people didn't really see the band the first time. I think we're going to see the band this time.
Uh-huh.
The older people.
Even when we played the Bottom Line for those 2 nights, we already had Richie Teeter was not in the band,
That's right.
right? And it changed the band a lot,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we were on this amazing energy level of a tour. The Blood Brothers tour was a culmination of what we learned and what we've done all the time. And you know, it's just when you change a member, as critical as your drummer, it just changes a lot.
And Richie sang.
Yeah.
His voice added a lot to the band too, so it was hard. By the bottom line though, it was starting to sound okay again.
That's right.
What was the last date that you had actually played all together with Richie too?
With Richie, it was in Palatine, Illinois, a bustling metropolis of a suburb outside of Chicago.
Those lucky people got to see.
It's known primarily for its Howard Johnson's motel.
I remember that.
I remember it very well.
Palatine?
Yeah, that was the last show that he played with us.
Yep.
And then you continued for how much longer after that?
Well, we came home right away with our tails between our legs.
Not too much.
And we knew this guy Mel Anderson, whose brother plays lead guitar for Bob Marley, and he had about 10 years ago had invented this band, the local band Twisted Sister.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a really great drummer, really great flashy drummer. So we started working with him, and we only had a few rehearsals, and we had some shows. We played a few shows. We played Albany, and we played Boston, and we played the Bottom Line, Connecticut.
It was like 12 people there once in Connecticut.
No, that was the one that we
stopped in the middle of the set to watch the end of the World Series. It was the last time the Yankees won. We all ran over to the TV set and watched the last game.
We were booked. We were supposed to play the week after, and we showed up, and no one knew we were.
Right.
Even the people in the club
You
didn't
show
know
up
we were
on the
coming.
wrong day.
Here we are.
It's another example of the fantastic management.
They were sparkling too.
Okay, we're gonna hear another song. This is from Blood Brothers, and this is the Flamin' Groovy song, Slow Death. Whose idea was it to do the Flamin' Groovy song?
Mine.
No, me. We did it in the very beginning when we first formed. That was one of the first songs we did. I remember we used to rock out on it back before we had a record contract. We were living upstate in the middle of nowhere, suffering, paying our dues,
As they say.
We used to do Slow Death. So we always liked to do a cover version on every album, and it was between that and Dance 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 by the Beach Boys, and Slow Death really fit the body of the songs better. So we did Slow Death.
Uh-huh.
And it sort of developed. It really wasn't much. The middle section was always real, kind of whatever. And we got a really good one in the studio. It wasn't all that rehearsed. Very live.
In fact, it was completely live.
Completely live.
No overdubs.
No overdubs on that.
No, on the whole record.
On the whole record?
Yeah, we did that one live.
You live, boy.
Live.
Live.
Live in
As
the
live
studio,
as
at least.
possible.
Well, all the instruments were live, and like about half the vocals were
Yeah.
done with the tracks.
Vocals de extraordinario.
Who was it? Did Krugman and Perlman come to you, or did you go to them?
They came begging to us.
They
on
came
their hands and
crawling.
knees. They said, "We know a contender when we see one." Nah, we had a lot of friends in a lot of writers.
Richard Meltzer was
Yeah.
our connection to them. Richard Meltzer, the founding father of rock criticism, Christopher Columbus of rock criticism. He grew up with Sandy Perlman. Even when he knew Sandy back when he was a real fat little 11-year-old kid in Long Island, and he grew up to be the real cool like president of the student organization at Stony Brook. In fact, but Sandy Perlman invented the term heavy metal, and Sandy Perlman booked the Jefferson Airplane and the Doors for the first time in New York. The Who, Yardbirds, that Yardbirds album that came out and was deleted real quick. Live Yardbirds. Sandy produced that show at the Anderson
Theater.
And then he managed Blue Oyster Cult, and when we realized he had money, we decided to get in touch with him.
Now's the time.
And we got Meltzer to talk him into coming up to hear the band at the house we were living at, and he thought we were fantastic. He thought we were better than Jay Giles' band, and
That good.
we should come down and do a demo. And we came down and did a demo, and Epic loved
They
it.
were
And
hot.
They bought it, and that's
It's
it.
a hot band. I remember
Jay Giles.
when I
they
started my college career. We had the hottest band. Remember that show? It was Jay Giles and the MC5. All my life I'd waited to see the MC5 live, and it was in a place called a Rock Pile on Long Island. It's just wall
Now
to wall.
Speaks.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
now Speaks. Whatever the hell that is. Wall to wall people. It was like, it's like one of these punk rock concerts, people pressing up against each other, and Jay Giles was amazing.
So what's happening on college campuses these days anyway? A lot of student protests and all that?
Not much. It's somewhat...
ERA, civil
It's the
rights?
me generation,
What is
man.
it these days?
They don't care about nothing else.
Oh, I think I read about that in New York magazine.
They did a 3-page spread on the me generation, I think, a couple weeks ago.
It must have been last time I pretended to read the Times.
So, did Krugman and Perlman produce all 3 albums, or just...
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately.
You sound somewhat dissatisfied.
Yeah,
Why?
I think because I think only because they did a really horrible job.
That's basic.
Really, the records, even the last album, which was done live and really had, you know, sometimes we could accept the blame halfway. The arrangements of the songs were maybe too cluttered, but this last album, and to me, it was the producer's job to know what would sound good on the radio. You know, not just when it sounded good in the studio, because
Right.
everything sounds good in the studio. You know, everything sounds good in the studio. I mean, I'm sure even Meatloaf sounded real good in the studio. You know.
It was part of. I'll take some of the blame.
This
for the
album in
band.
particular, I mean, to me, this the producer's job to interpret, you know, how the radio audience is going to hear it, because that's your primary, you know, contact with getting people to hear you. And the record just didn't sound good on the radio. It just didn't. You know, I don't think we put out one bad song. I don't think there's one bad performance on any of the records. But they, you know, for lots of reasons, they didn't sell, and one of them was definitely the production.
Well, Phil Spector, I know, used to bring in little 3-inch car radio speakers just so you could see what it sounded like on the radio.
Phil Spector recorded on a 4-track system. So all they had was 4-track. He mixed it more elaborately, but all those great records were made on 4-track and were done in mono. You know, it's not just the studio. We were in the best studios with the best engineers too, and we just couldn't get a good sounding record.
If you were to go in and record a record now, what would you do differently besides get new producers, I guess?
Get new producers. I mean, that to me is most of it. I don't think we did too much else wrong on the records. I really don't. I think the second album we went overboard with arrangements and adding parts and too many instruments, but a lot of that was
I
at
think
the
it all fits
producers.
together pretty well.
Which
I think
I don't
looking
know,
back, I
it's
think
so,
we
like-
should have just like stuck to our guns more. Would have been better off. I think like we made the first album, it was just a bunch of kids, never really played live, and just said, hey, it's like the best thing in the world to do. So we were a band, right? We made an album. It was like kind of like a pure album in a way, because we weren't really touched by the record industry yet. We hadn't played,
1973.
and we made this album, and no one really got it, you know? It was just like an album we decided to make, boom. No one really got it, you know? Everyone said a few years later, if it would have come out, it would have done better. Then we try to kind of overcompensate in the second record, because we were thrown on the road with all these like huge bands opening up in these, you know, 20,000 seat arenas, and we felt like, well, then this is what we've got to be, so we try to become that. You know, then the third album, we went a little bit back to the first album, and I think we lost a lot of our sense of humor on the records along the way. There was, you know, some sense of humor in the lyrics and stuff. It wasn't as blatant. And, you know, I'm just sorry that we didn't stick to our guns, you know. You know, you live and die with what you are. You don't try to decide, well, if we become this, then we might have a better chance of making it. You know, you're something, you live and die with that. That's all. You put all your marbles on the table.
Well, that seems like
Well said.
a good closing note, I think, here. This is the Dictators from Go Girl Crazy and The Next Big Thing.